Hello lovelies, welcome to Narc Free Formula. My name's Freedom, thank you for joining me. In today's episode I want to talk to you guys about the top 6 narcissist smear campaign tactics. So we all know about the narcissists and their smear campaigns, but this takes a little bit of a more in-depth look at the actual tactics that they use when engaging in smear campaigns. Also, I'm going to link to another video that looks at the 3 different types of narc smear campaigns, because there are different types of campaigns used at different times and with different individuals. So as in, you know, there's certain campaigns that they will use against their primary supply. Then there are campaigns that they'll use against previous primary supply, or you know, with their flying monkeys who've gone wrong. There's a whole lot of different ways that the smear campaign is used depending on who the target is and what the desired outcome is. But lovelies, let's get down to it. So the first tactic is what I call watch this hand. So just like the magician, the narcissist gets you to pay attention to what this hand's doing, so you don't look at what the other hand is doing. And what I mean by that is they will script the narrative. So they will draw your attention to what they want you to see and away from what they are trying to hide. That way they get to script the narrative, they get to write the story of the relationship and how it's all played out. They get to write the story with them as the victim and you as the abuser, or with them as the you know, long-suffering husband and you as this kind of wayward slut, or, you know, drug-addled, pokey playing you know, lady of the night, or whatever it is that they are you know, conjuring up, whatever story they're conjuring up about you. So number 2, they will never have blood on their hands, and you'll hear them say things like, when have I ever said a bad word about her? And they'll say things like you know, or they might say, you know, when have I ever mentioned her name? So when they're in the final kind of destruction smear campaign mode, where basically, you know, all bets are off, everything's off, they know the relationship's done, they know there's no coming back, so now they just want to destroy you. They will often not refer to your name, which is kind of pointless because everyone knows who they're talking about, but they'll proudly say, when have you ever heard me mention her name? So as I said, in their mind, it kind of creates this illusion that they've done nothing wrong, you know. So they'll say, when have I ever said a bad thing about her? But I think you should know that she blah 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 blah. As I said, it's just this tactic that they use to keep themselves looking squeaky clean and you as the bad guy. All right, number 3, narcs' lack of object constancy means that they are extremists. They talk in absolutes, so there's no kind of grey zone. So, you know, in their world, it's black or white. There's no grey zone. It's good or bad. And so, you know, when they're telling the story, it is quite literally a story, a fabrication. They don't tell the truth. They never say, yeah, well, I hit her and I hurt her and I scared her and so she left me. What they will say is, oh, my ex-girlfriend, like, she's a narcissist and she was crazy, failing to mention the fact that, you know, she was hit and hurt. You know, so they never take responsibility. They always deny any kind of wrongdoing on their behalf. The narcissist will never say things like, you know, I know that I did things wrong and, you know, that I wasn't perfect. You know, I know that. They never say that. They don't ever say that. They'll always just blame their ex for any wrongdoing in the relationship, and it's pure projection. 99% of the time, what they're spreading around in their smear campaigns is actually what they have done, which is why they know the story so well. They know how to play it, and all they have to do is paint themselves as the victim and her as the perpetrator. All right. So number 4 is, this is where we get into this kind of psychological warfare. And this is the stuff that cult leaders use. This is the tactics that cult leaders use. So they use people's kind of innate need to connect with other humans against them. So when they're talking to other people about you, you know, they can say things like, no, she was actually the perpetrator. And if you can't see that, then you need to hit your head red. Like, there's obviously something really wrong with you. Now, people, because of their desire to, you know, to connect with other humans and to belong and, you know, to not be the bad guy, they will agree with the narcissist. So they'll sit there and say, oh, no, I understand. No, I can hear. Like, I'm not like that. You know, I don't want to, you know, have that kind of, I don't want to be painted as being like that. So I'll denounce that person. I'll say, no, you know, it was obviously her, not you. And yeah, so I can see what you're saying. And as I said, this is something that cult leaders do. This kind of sense, this kind of, they call it, you know, the us and them. So the outsider, you know, you don't want to be seen as being an outsider. You want to be part of the group. So you go along with the group norms, and the group narratives and what is socially acceptable within the group. You don't want to be seen as being an outsider, because outsiders are also outcast. All right, lovelies. Number 5. So they use other people as flying monkeys and encourage them to attack, basically, to attack the other person in the smear campaigns. So they don't ever want them to question or think. They don't ever want them to you know, weigh up both sides of the argument and, you know, think it through. What they want you to do is to wholly and 100% accept their version of events. Or, like I said, they may say there's something wrong with you if you don't. And they kind of encourage people to attack the victim or whoever it is they're running the smear campaign about. And number 6, darlings, the final reason, the final tactic that narcs use with their smear campaigns is they use labels. And they also use labels that work. So they know that there are certain labels that are stigmatized. So, for example, you don't want to ever be called, you know, a loser, a crazy stalker, a whore. You know, there's certain derogatory terms that you don't want to be called. And like I said, they're stigmatized. You know, if you have those labels kind of put upon you, you become like a social pariah. Now, narcissists know this. So what they do is they will make sure those labels get put on you. But they may do it, as I said, in such a backhanded kind of way, like, far be it from me to call her a slut, but her behavior lately has been abhorrent. I mean, and as I said, you know, that goes back to, what was that number? Number 3 or 4? Number 2, you know, no blood on their hands. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So they're never, you know, to the outsider, it looks as though they're not really attacking, but they are attacking. And this is exactly how smear campaigns work. They're insidious, and as I said, they're based on this kind of psychological warfare that cult leaders use. So be mindful of that, darlings. Be mindful of that when you're hearing, you know, a story about someone's ex. Just be mindful that you're only hearing the one side, and also be mindful of those tactics. If you're seeing them not taking any responsibility for, you know, their role in the relationship breakdown. If you're seeing anything like that, you know, obviously this, you know, if it's just a one-off thing, you know, you wouldn't want to assume too much from that. But if you see a few of those tactics, if you see a few of those red flags, you know, pay attention to that stuff. Okay, pay attention to that stuff. All right, lovelies. As I said, I'll link the other video in here, and have a good day. Staying narc free. Bye.